Hello, welcome back to the XCOM series that I'm making for anybody who's looking to get into the game or increase their game play when they play XCOM. Um, and this video is going to be called "Why is the Ranger class so good? What makes them? What's good about them? What makes the Rangers so good?" Well, the Rangers are a very they're very offensive role. They're very powerful up close and personal. They have a shotgun and a sword. That's what, um, like you can see right here. These are all the weapons that they are able to use. They can technically use an assault rifle, which is really good when you're upgrading your weapons. So when you go from the assault rifle to the mag rifle to the plasma rifle, you're going to get those first. So you can equip your ranger with a mag rifle while you're waiting for the shard gun to come in, and you can utilize that to your advantage to get that extra damage, and then you get the shard gun, and now you're doing even more damage to the ranger. So the basic way is that the mag rifle is greater than the shotgun, and the plasma rifle is greater than the shard gun. But either way, the shard gun's better than the mag rifle, and the storm gun's better than the plasma rifle. So anyway, they also have a sword attack that they're able to use. There are some enemies that are weak to melee attacks, and what you're able to do is you're with the sword, you're able to use your full running ability to hit the enemy, and whereas the shotgun, you unless you have running gun, you have to move and then shoot, or you can just shoot from your position if there's no reason to move. But anyway, so that's sort of like the intro if you've never played XCOM, or if you play very minimal and you sort of want to know like what's good about the Rangers, what can they do. So we can go over some of their abilities, what's good about their abilities, which ones are generally better. However, there are some that are actually both good. There's some cases where both abilities are useful. But yeah, first of all, right off the bat, every Ranger has the sword attack slash attack. So you run up, you hit the guy with the sword, and part of the issue is that your turn ends right there. So when you're using this slash ability, it can be very dangerous. You have to ensure that there's no enemy that can hit you, and you have to ensure that if it's not the last enemy, that either A, you're killing the rest of the pod, or B, your guy's in a position of cover that he can utilize until the next turn. So you have to just sort of you have to be careful with the slash ability, and you can, but it's still very powerful. You can utilize it to your advantage. Where if you have a guy behind high cover, and you don't want to waste, just shooting, aimlessly at him, you use the sword ability. You get up, you slash him, boom. The first ability from Corporal, you have Phantom and you have Blade Master. Phantom's really useful if you want to scout. However, if you're playing with the DLC, the Reaper, it far outclasses this. There's almost no reason to use Phantom if you have Reapers. I'm like the Reaper Shadow ability just way outclasses this. They're able to move further. They have different abilities where they're able to mark permanently enemies that they see, so that way if they move outside your line of sight, you still know where they are. So and it can be useful to still scout out the enemy. The one thing to remember though is that if you have Phantom and you're trying to set up like an ambush, you're going to be down a soldier unless you're shooting with this guy first. And that's another thing too, is the Reaper has a chance to stay in concealment. They have a chance. They have a, depending on how far along you are. I believe it's 50-50 at first, but then there's also abilities where the first time you shoot, you guarantee to stay, but then it gets progressively harder to stay in cover if you keep firing. Either way, if you have Reapers, I would not recommend going Phantom. It can be useful the further that you go along this path, especially with Shadow Strike, because you can use the you can use this ranger to get extra bonus aim. So it could be useful. However, I'm telling you, Reapers just don't bother with this right now. If you're playing base, yeah, Phantom can be useful, but if you're playing with any form of DLC, just use Reapers, man. um, Blade Master, very useful. The sword attack can miss early on, especially early on. So Blade Master, that 10 aim doesn't seem like a lot, but the big selling point is the 2 damage. 2+ damage. That's really good to ensure OCOs. You want to ensure that all of your sword attacks are killing something, or they're setting it up to kill the guy. So the 2 damage is huge in XCOM. Because it could be the difference between wasting a shot to kill off a guy or just straight up killing the guy, and then you can focus fire the rest of the pod. And again, 10 aim just helps ensure that your swords don't miss. I love Blade Master. I think that's very important ability. If you're not sure if it's your first time playing, you're looking at these like, oh, which one? Just pick Blade Master. Just go with Blade Master. You can always build a scout later on, but especially early on, like get Blade Master. Next, the sergeant abilities. So Shadow Strike. What Shadow Strike sets up for is it allows your ranger to be the first shot from an ambush, and that plus 25 bonus aim is huge. 10 is good, 25 is huge. Like that is an incredible amount. And then the crit chance, shotguns already have a high crit chance, so you might expect your guy to do like 5 damage or so, and you see it and he does like 8 or 9 or 10, and you're like, oh, whoa, like where did that come from? Came from that crit chance. So it can be useful. However, I like Shadow Step better, and the reason being is because sometimes there's pods that you discover, especially later on, where or you might discover a pod and one of the soldiers will set up an overwatch, like especially the robotic enemies. So what you do with Shadow Step is you run up and you pop them with the shotgun right then and there. Sometimes you discover turrets as well, where again they set up overwatch. Well, guess what? You run up with a shotgun, boom, dead. So I think Shadow Step is better, but they're both very useful. I just like there's been plenty of times playing the game where I find a pod and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I literally can't move anybody, otherwise I'm going to get an Overwatch shot done on me. And you have to sort of play the gamble of like, well, can I toss a grenade over there? Can I shoot him with a different weapon, like a sniper? And I think that Shadow Step it gives you that extra tool to combat an Overwatch situation. So I think Shadow Step is more useful. It's sort of like this is an A tier ability and this is a B tier ability, or just to put it in perspective. I don't know if this actually is an A tier ability. I'd have to look at it and actually rank them later on and see where they all stack up. But this one I think is above Shadow Strike. Lieutenant abilities: Running Gun and Conceal. Conceal can be useful. Conceal can be used to, again, regain that scout ability. It helps you find the rest of the pods on a mission. It helps you ambush them. But again, if you have Reapers, just use Reapers. Like, seriously, just use Reapers. Their ability is much better. And Running Gun is so useful. There's so many times where an enemy sets up behind a barrier and you have no way to flank them. You just pop Running Gun. You get behind them, and you shoot them with like an 80% chance to crit. Just use Running Gun. It's so much better. Like, this is one of the best abilities in the game. And Conceal is like, it might be useful. Running Gun is always useful. So seriously, use Running Gun. Captain abilities. Implaceable and Blade Storm. So this one can be a little bit tricky. I personally, and this might be a little bit of bias, but I personally like Implaceable better. And the reason being is that not every enemy comes up to you with to attack you with a sword attack. What does implaceable do? Implaceable allows you to move back to a better position. And remember, this is kills. You just have to kill the guy. It doesn't say you have to use your shotgun. It doesn't say you have to use your sword. You just kill a guy and you move back to a better position. You retreat. You come up real close, especially if you use running gun or the sword. Like I said, everyone has slash. Especially if you have blade master, you're gonna be using your sword a lot. Probably gonna be using running gun a lot. You get implaceable. You run up, shoot the guy, sword the guy, and then you retreat back to a high cover. So I think implaceable is very useful. Now that being said, Bladestorm does have some usage. Archons like to try to grab your soldiers. It comes up, you use Bladestorm, and you try to hit it. There's a thing you could do with the priests. Priests like to live on 1 HP. So you just put, if you put a captain ranger right up next to him, Bladestorm, you just like, okay, the second he wakes up, boom, you hit him. There's the Andromedon, when it comes up to try to melee you guy, you can use Bladestorm again to kill him right there. Vipers, the Lancers. So Bladestorm does have usage. There is actually a good amount of enemies, but there's also a lot of enemies with guns and a lot of enemies with range attacks. So that's sort of where Bladestorm might not be as useful. Again, they're both very, very useful. I'd give a slight edge to Implaceable, but again, it depends on what you want. And especially with the DLC, you can get both abilities on your guy. So you could just spend some you can spend some AP points and you get both. And again, both very useful abilities. I would highly recommend playing with both, getting both when you play through your game. Major. Deep Cover and Untouchable. Deep Cover is not a very useful ability in my opinion. Yes, I get it. Hunker down, you get plus 20 defense on top of the low cover, or it treats it as high cover. You can also, I guess, technically put out a fire if it happens. But just look at Untouchable. Like read Deep Cover. If you don't attack, you hunker down. Okay. But then look at Untouchable. If you score a kill during your turn, the next attack misses. So what this allows you to do is, let's say there's a big ass pod that just right there, right appears in front of you. You put the ranger in front, you kill him, and all you have to do is you have to kill all but one enemy. That one enemy is more than likely going to target your ranger. And guess what? Missed. And remember, this is a guarantee. It will miss. Not might miss, not 50% chance to miss. No, will miss. Untouchable is a really great ability. Highly recommend using this. And I highly discourage players from using Deep Cover. Again, might be useful if you're playing the base game with a Scout Ranger, but I'm telling you, Untouchable, much better. So then the Colonel. Both of these abilities are fantastic. Like, let's be real. Now, I will put some bias in here. I like Reaper more. The reason why I like Reaper more is because what it allows you to do is you don't have to get OCOs on your enemies anymore. What you do is you use the rest of your squad to strategically gun down the enemy units and weaken them. And what you do is you go around with the Reaper ability and you just slash. You just go down the line and kill all the enemies. So if you stumble upon a pod with 4 enemies, what you can do with Reaper is you use your Grenadier or anybody with Shredder. You shred off the armor, or you pop a grenade or something. You use your sniper. You hit a guy. You use your specialist to do more damage. You use all your soldiers to do some damage, and then you pop Reaper. and you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you kill them all. And the way to use Reaper is remember attacks have ranges. So let's just say the first sword attack, let's say it's 10 to 12. What you do with Reaper is you find the enemy with the most health and you hit him with the first or the most remaining health and you hit him with it. Then you go on to the next one, and it's sort of like a pattern that you try to recognize as like, okay, where are the enemies? If I have one here, one here, one here, one here, you try to like hit this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, or here, or you try to like go around in that pattern. And now what you can do with Reaper is you kill the first one. Technically, you have 2 movement now, because when you use Reaper, you now only have 1 extra action, but with Implaceable, you technically get 2 movement. And again, you kill the guys, you get untouchable. So even if you can't kill that last enemy, he's probably going to target the ranger, and now he misses. Now, don't get me wrong, rapid fire is incredibly useful. You run forward, and you get two shots. Boom, boom. And remember, rangers are at close range, so that minus 15 aim penalty, yeah, it's there, but it might not fully be there because you're so close to the guy. So you pop both of them. A lot of bonus damage from crit chances. A lot of burst damage. So it is useful for a lot of damage on one guy. Reaper is more useful when there's more enemies that you're able to just slash all of them in a chain. So I personally like Reaper more. If you use rapid fire, there's no harm there. Like it is a very, very good ability. You could also be at a point in the game where, again, it depends on the difficulty you're playing on, the play style you like. You might have the plasma shotgun, but the base sword. But you might have the base sword. So you might be looking at like, well, listen, I'll get this later. I'll use the training facility to get this later. But right now, I want rapid fire because it's going to do much more damage right there. Which again, perfectly reasonable, perfectly fine. If you play War of the Chosen, there's possible XCOM skills that you can get from other classes. A lot of these I'm going to go over my later series or my later videos. Highly recommend Shredder. If you have a chance to get Shredder, get Shredder. I seriously think this is one of the best abilities in the game. And imagine having it on your Ranger, where especially if you have rapid fire. So those sectopods, those gatekeepers, those they're going down real fast because you're shredding them and you're doing shotgun damage like that. That's actually incredible to have. Aim can be useful. Serial can also be useful. Cover and fire, guardian, all those are very useful. Even death from above, but that's kind of terrain dependent. But I'd highly recommend amongst these abilities, if you have Shredder, always get Shredder. But definitely the way that I like to build my guys is I'm just going to run through it real quick. I know I talked through all the abilities, what makes them good. Highly recommend Blade Master, Shadow Step, Run and Gun. Either of these are fine. I probably prefer Implaceable, Untouchable, and Reaper. And again, Rapid Fire, very good ability, but I probably prefer Reaper. So as you can see from my experience, I'm not a huge fan of the left side abilities compared to their right side counterparts. I definitely recommend the assault abilities over the scout abilities. So that's gonna be it. Hopefully, sometime soon I can get footage of my gameplay of how I like to play the Reapers. As always, happy hunting, Commander.